Hello everyone. First of all, I would like to ask you one question. One question that will define your future. Are you ready for that? The question is, what is the most important skill needed for success? Many thoughts will come to your mind. But before telling the answer, I will share with you a small story. Once there was a professor who had heard a lot about a Zen master, about his profound wisdom. Professor wanted to impress the Zen master. One day he took an appointment, went to the Zen master. The master smiled, asked the professor to sit in front of him. The moment the professor sat in front of the Zen master, he started talking on and on and on about everything under the sun to boast, to show off his knowledge. The Zen master didn't say a word, he just listened. Meanwhile, the disciple brought in tea, and the Zen master started pouring tea into the professor's cup. He went on and on till the teacup was full and it started overflowing. The professor said, "Master, the cup is full, it's overflowing." With a smile, Zen master replied, "Sir, that is the point. The cup is already full. You have to empty your cup. Then only I can fill in." That is the point that I want to drive in, my dear friends. The most important skill that you want to succeed is the ability to empty yourself. To be more precise, the illiterate of the 21st century is not the person who can read. It is the person who can't learn, unlearn and relearn. Therefore, have you acquired the skill of unlearning, which is seldom taught in our educational institutions? Black Swan is an international bestseller written by Nassim Nicholas Taleb. In that path-breaking book, he talks about a lot of things, of which one particular sentence captured my imagination. The sentence was, "What you don't know is more important than what you know." I will state it again. What you don't know is far more important than what you know. I will give you two examples. Just take the case of 9/11. If US government knew that there is going to be a terrorist attack beforehand, the entire scenario would have been different. There would have been fighter planes flying across the sky. All the airplanes would have been foolproof. The disaster would have been averted. But the point is, they didn't know. Take the case of tsunami that shook the world in 2004. Imagine if the environmental department or the weather department could predict such a catastrophe that's going to happen. We could have evacuated all the people from the key locations and would have saved lives of thousands, tens of thousands of people. But the point is, we didn't know that this is going to happen. Therefore, what we don't know can hurt us very badly. And that is the catch. we have to focus on what we don't know rather than what we know. Umberto Eco is a world famous author. He has a personal collection of 30,000 books in his library. One day, a visitor came. He was invited to see his library. He was astounded by seeing such a big collection. He asked Umberto, "Sir, have you read all the books in your library?" With a smile, he replied, "Friend, this is not a library. This is an anti-library." Anti-library? What is an anti-library? Echo replied, "Anti-library is a place where there are more unread books than read books." And it perfectly makes sense. Imagine a library where you have read all the books, so you can't get anything new out of that library. Therefore, anti-library is the ideal place where you can learn. Therefore, if you want to move ahead in life, if you want to make a difference, you have to focus on what you don't know. You have to move out of your comfort zone. Rightly said by Mr. George Orwell, the author of book 1984, "Ignorance is strength." Are you focusing on your ignorance, or are you clinging on to the little knowledge that you know? According to me, real knowledge is to know the extent of your ignorance. My dear friends, it is high time for each one of us to embrace our ignorance. Acknowledge how little we know and to explore more into the ignorance, to celebrate our ignorance, and to make a big difference in the world that we are living in. Therefore, that is the first point that I want to drive in. Empty your cup. Start every day by thinking what I can learn today. Fine? Now we are moving on to the second point, for which I will share with you a real incident. Have you heard about Edwin Land? He is the inventor of instant Polaroid camera. Do you know how he invented that? Once he went with his family for a vacation, and his little daughter was very adamant about seeing her picture immediately after clicking it, for which there was no way out, because you have to take the photograph, you have to take it to the lab, you have to process it, then only you can see the photograph. But this little girl was very, very insistent on seeing her picture immediately after it is taken. And that persuaded him to invent the instant Polaroid camera. The persistent why of a little girl led to such a path-breaking invention. Take the case of Isaac Newton. His why changed the way in which the scientific world viewed things around. When everybody asked why the apple is falling down, he asked why it is not going up, why the moon is not coming down. And that led to the discovery of the gravitational theory. There is a very famous book written by Simon Sinek titled start with why, in which he explains a beautiful concept called the golden circle. It has three concentric circles, with the outer circle written what, the middle circle written how, and the inner circle written why. What is about the process, result, how is about the process, and why is about the belief. He says that every person, every organization in this world exactly know what they do and how they differentiate themselves from others. But the great people or great organizations, what they do different is that they exactly know why they do what they do. Let me give you an example. Take the case of Apple. If they were like any other computer company, they would have said the what. We make great computers, and how they are different from their competitors. Our computers are good in design and user friendly, but that is not what Apple do. What they do is they start with the why. This is how they market their computers. We challenge the status quo in whatever we do. We think different. Do you want to join us and be a part of a great revolution? Buy an Apple. Sounds irresistible, right? That is the power of starting with why. One more example. Have you heard about Samuel Langley? No. He was a person with a lot of education, high-level contacts, and US government gave him $50,000 to invent a flying machine. But he failed miserably. On the other hand, we had Wright brothers who didn't have formal education, who didn't have the money to fund their flying project, but still they succeeded. Because for Langley, his aim was money. His aim was fame. But for Wright brothers, it was their passion. The strong why decided the success of Wright brothers. That is why you have to focus on the belief. Devdutt Patnaik is the Chief Belief Officer of Future Group. A very strange job title, right? He put across the 3B model: belief, behavior, and business. This is what he says to the corporate world. Forget about the business. Forget about the behavior of the employees. Focus on what your stakeholder believes. That belief will take care of their behavior, and business is a natural outcome of that. Therefore, as learners, if you want to make a mark in this world, start from inside out. Don't focus on the what or the how, focus on the why. Why I am doing it? That is the single most important question that you have to answer before you take the next step. That is the second most important point that I want to drive in. Start with why. Today we discussed 2 points that are very crucial in your life ahead. That was a common denominator for all the successful people across the world. empty your cup and start with why. My dear friends, don't wait any longer. Today onwards, start emptying your cup. Start with why. And you can see that the world is no longer the same. It's all different. Because the way in which you see the world will change once you start emptying your cup. And once you start igniting the why within you. Wishing all of you a great educational journey ahead.